Well, the repeal of the controversial 3 strikes law has been struck out by New Zealand First. In an embarrassing backdown, the Justice Minister Andrew Littles has dropped plans to repeal the 2010 law after New Zealand First refused to give its support. Mr Little has been expected to bring the matter before Cabinet this morning, but instead called a media conference to say it was all off.
New Zealand First have said they are not prepared to support the repeal of 3 strikes at this point. They didn't want that to be seen as separate from a broader program of criminal justice reform, but they are very clear with me. They are totally committed to criminal justice reform.
What consultation did you do with New Zealand First before you embarked on this?
Well, nothing gets before Cabinet without having gone through a variety of hoops beforehand, but the reason why you have a variety of hoops is that people take time to pause and reflect, and that happens. We've got to the point now where they would prefer, rather than piecemeal proposals going to Cabinet, they want to see a full, well-rounded, balanced package, and that's what we're doing.
So there was a change in position this morning.
To a hugely dysfunctional government, you cannot get some of your flagship reforms across the line.
No, you're wrong in 2 respects. First of all, the flagship reforms are happening in a lot of areas, and criminal justice reform.
Don't know that yet. They might start them.
I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. Criminal justice reform is happening. There will be a package of criminal justice reform coming out of this government. Secondly, this is coalition government. This is when you have a genuine coalition government of a variety of parties with a span of views, you take on board all those views, and that's what we're doing. But the government is very clear, all parties in government, is we have to reform our criminal justice system if we want safer communities and fewer victims of crime, and that's what we're committed to do.
They're beginning to fall over straight out of the blocks.
I disagree with you.
Have they changed their minds?
Well, that's a matter you're going to have to talk to New Zealand First about, but I am very clear in my discussions with New Zealand First is that they are totally committed to criminal justice reform. They are not prepared to accept the burgeoning prison population and the reoffending rate that we have, 60%. Within 2 years of release of prison, higher for younger offenders. That means more victims of crime. Unless we're prepared to do something about that, then we're failing all citizens of New Zealand who are potential victims of crime, and we're failing our criminal justice system. So we have to change.
You're failing with your reforms straight out of the box.
Let me go right back to the beginning. We have a criminal justice reform program. We are doing criminal justice reform. This government is totally committed to reforming our criminal justice system. And so this government is totally committed to criminal justice reform. That's what we're doing. That's why we have a criminal justice summit. That's why we're having an advisory group that will assist in putting a package together. And as it was always intended, the meat of the reform will happen next year when we look at a whole variety of aspects of it.
Or did you wrongly assume that you had its support?
Or did they renege?
No, I stand by all the judgments that I've made, but in the discussions, certainly last week, I got to the point on Friday where I discussed with the Prime Minister, look, we're better just to take this off the table now, rather than have a piecemeal approach to this reform. Let's have the full package of all elements of it that we know are about doing better for those in prison, reducing our reoffending rate, therefore reducing our offending rate, therefore having fewer victims of crime. That's what we're focused on, and that's what we're doing.
That's the Justice Minister Andrew Little talking to reporters there, and it seems New Zealand First isn't keen to talk about the matter. The party's leader Winston Peters, Cabinet Minister Shane Jones and Social Services spokesperson Derek Ball all declined Checkpoint's interview requests.